Good morning, everybody. It is week 11 already. Man, that's the one thing that I think I can't hardly take away from this is that it's already week 11. We're already in that mode where we got to start locking in playoff lineups, things of that nature. Here we go. We'll be back in 30 seconds to go ahead and get you guys set up with your starting sits this week. Giddy up and let's get going. It is week 11. I can't believe we're already this deep into the season. It feels like just yesterday we were talking about who we're going to be drafting, you know what I mean? So this stuff goes so fast. It sucks that because it's just so much prep work and everything like that. I don't know. There's a lot of things that you could compare it to. But one thing you can't compare anything to is my man Joe on my right, left, whatever side you guys are on sitting there at home. Joe, how we doing this morning?
Yeah, man, it goes by fast. I used to think only old people said time flies, but I guess I'm old now because I would agree with that. And if you start slow, start fast, your fantasy season, it's a roller coaster. But you're at the point now where there's you got to start winning. If you're 6-5 or 6-4 or 4-6 or 5-5, you just got to start winning games to get that last playoff push. And that's what we're here.
Sometimes you got to go for the Hail Mary. Sometimes, it's kind of like the end of Game of Thrones where the guy tries to overthrow Jon Snow. I tried and I failed, but at least you went out trying. That's the only thing. And we're here to help. Make sure you guys get your questions in the comments down below, and we will drop everything. We'll drop what we're doing right then and there. We'll go ahead and get those questions answered right away. The one thing we're going to go ahead and lead off with here, Joe, is why don't you go ahead and let us know what kind of injuries are we looking at today?
Yeah, we're pretty clean at the quarterback position today, other than Trevor Lawrence out again for Jacksonville. You'll have another Mac Jones start this week. That should be fun. Only other noteworthy thing I think at quarterback is Anthony Richardson back in for Indianapolis. Joe Flacco done. I don't know. There are just so many things in the NFL that are absolutely inexplicable. Joe Flacco, Jameis Winston, it's hilarious. And they're still in the playoff race too, which is, with musical chairs quarterbacks, if they win today, they're not dead yet either. But that's pretty much it at the quarterback position. Running backs, I got to say, it feels a little clean injury-wise for where we are in the season. Even looking at running backs today, there's not much new. If anything, people are back. We know that CMC's back. We know that Chubb's back. Bigsby's out, so Etienne will have the start for Jacksonville. But again, at Detroit with Mac Jones starting, not sure you want to go in that direction. Looks like Jalen Warren's going to play for Pittsburgh. Other than that, we're pretty clean at running back also. Wide receiver. And I will say this, I'm looking at the main slates. I should be thinking about the night games from an injury perspective too, but right this second, I'm looking at the 11-game main slate. But Devonta Adams, questionable with a wrist and an illness, but it looks like he's going to play. This is rather shocking if you really think about it. Like, the lack of injuries for week 11, that's a testament to the NFL, because even a few weeks ago, it was getting kind of crazy. There's really not, Amari Cooper looks like he still looks like to be a game time decision. We do know that Keon Coleman's out. Dalton Kincaid is also out for Buffalo today too. So those are two weapons that Josh Allen is down against Kansas City. But I'm going to pretty much leave it at that. I mean, we got a couple of tight end injuries. Kincaid, I just mentioned. Laporta's out for Detroit today. That's worth mentioning in their game against Jacksonville. Noah Fant is out for Seattle, but that's it, my friend. We are pretty healthy here going into the fantasy home stretch.
Yeah, it's a little quiet in here. Too quiet, is what they say right there. So, but there is also a lot of people we lost just to season enders also, so there's no more questions around whether or not they'll be playing again this year. But yeah, we got Puka Nacua back. We got Cooper Kupp back. All these guys that we were missing at the beginning of the season. So hopefully they're in your lineup now and helping you guys get those wins at this crucial, critical time, because, man, it's crazy out there right now. I do feel like C-Mac is going to be a guy that you can start with some confidence today. I think, that was kind of a get back game. This is going to be a get right game against Seattle. These guys always play each other pretty hard. I think C-Mac's a guy. One matchup I'm kind of looking at today that with a couple of eyeballs there is that Cleveland-New Orleans game. What is your take on that? Are you going to be starting some people fantasy-wise? It seems like the Saints are just a shell of what they started at right now, and it feels like Cleveland is kind of the opposite, right? Like they started out really, really tough, didn't have a whole lot of help on that offense, and now they're with Jameis Winston in there. They're seeming like they're kind of clicking a little bit.
This is the quintessential 2024 NFL game, because this game could be 13-10 or it could be 44-41. And with Winston and now Carr is back. I was looking at Kamara, who's had a great season and putting up yard. Kamara hasn't scored a touchdown in a month, which I find odd. Chubb, I don't believe, has scored since he's been back. So there's a lot going on in that game. There's a lot. From a DFS perspective, more than anything, when you're combing through and you're making your lineup this week, you do keep on going back to that game because you guys got like Valdez-Scantling. He's New Orleans' #1 receiver this week, and he's 4,400 on DraftKings. It's hard not to look at that. It's hard not to look at Kamara. It's hard not to look at Chubb based on the fact that the Saints' defense is stunk. You got Winston, who's had one huge game, one horrible game. How do you feel about our buddy Njoku and and Judy, who's actually been better? And what's his name? The guy you told us about a couple of weeks ago that's been good ever since. Tillman. All these guys. It's like they've had one good week, one bad week, the last two with Winston. So it'll be interesting to see how they do today. But if I had to bet on it, I bet on that being a little bit of a crazy or high scoring game.
Yeah, I feel like that's how I'm leaning on this game as well. I think that we're going to be looking at a high-scoring platform there. I think, the passing offense and the passing attack with New Orleans losing Lattimore, that's going to open things up for Jameis Winston to be able to get the ball down there. Although it's hard to say, like you said, I mean, that game could easily be 13-10. Both these defenses could just all of a sudden show up again, even though they've been getting steamrolled by everybody else. We got a question in here. We got Kevin Turner. He says, what's up, fellas? He says, half PPR. We got a 12-team league. We got London and Debo, wide receiver 1 and 2. We need a flex with the most upside this week. Man, we're trying to hit home runs. It's like we were just talking about. We got to go for it. We got to swing for the fences. We got Jaylen Warren, Ray Davis, Demario Douglas, Gus Edwards, Ricky Pearsall. That makes me feel like I'm swinging for the fences with a hot dog. What do you got here, Joe? What do you think?
Yeah, he's using the Yankee World Series bats, unfortunately. But that being said, I think I like Ricky Pearsall here. He went like 4 for 74 and a touchdown last week for the 49ers. Jennings was really good last week too. Debo had, so there's no reason to think he can't. He's kind of trajecting that way. I mean, I do think, to your point, McCaffrey plays a little more of a role today than he did last week, but I kind of like Pearsall there, especially if Seattle scores early a little bit, keeps San Francisco aggressive. I think he could have a big game. And those other guys, I think I'd be curious. I think Demario Douglas would be my runner-up.
Really? So I'm leaning actually more Jaylen Warren here just because of the matchup against Baltimore makes me think that they're going to have to throw the ball a lot more. And when you throw the ball in Pittsburgh, you're going to be seeing a little bit more of a feature of Jaylen Warren over Najee Harris. He didn't really look terrible the last couple of weeks, but he hasn't looked like anything great. The one thing that cautions me on Ricky Pearsall is the fact that Christian McCaffrey, I think, is going to have a bigger game. I don't mind that play, though. I think Ricky, I think I was more questioning Demario Douglas as your secondary pick there over Jaylen Warren, as opposed to Ricky Pearsall, being your number 1 pick there. But I think that I'm going to lean Jaylen Warren here. It's just by an edge. And that reminds me that Jeff is hopefully going to be joining us today. He kind of got sidetracked by work. So hopefully he'll be joining us to be able to break these ties. But it's really close for me between Jaylen Warren and Ricky Pearsall. I just feel like the volume is going to lean more Jaylen Warren's way.
I'll be the first to admit, I didn't realize, because I was looking in one of my leagues on a bye week I got to cover. I'm going between Warren and Spears. But I'm looking at Warren, who he has had a weird year. I mean, last year, he was the exciting fantasy back for Pittsburgh, right? Like Harris didn't, and you were kind of more excited about Warren. He hasn't done that this year yet. But to your point, he had 16 touches last week, which I didn't realize he had that many.
Yeah, I mean, it's surely a volume play here. I mean, I don't see that like the rest of these guys are going to be guys I feel like can get you in the end zone for sure. I'm outside of Demario Douglas. That team doesn't score a lot of touchdowns. They don't.
You're right about that.
But Ray Davis and Gus Edwards and Ricky Persall, I don't feel like give you the touchdown edge that Jaylen Warren gives you. And then you got to lean over to volume. So I'm going to lean Jaylen Warren for the volume play there as well. So yeah, it's close, but it's to me, I'm leaning Jaylen Warren there. Go with our man, Trans-Siberian. What is happening, my brother? He says, good evening, my gurus. He says, welcome back, Joey the Hat. He says, no, Jeff. Yeah, no, Jeff, like I said, this guy has got so many different things going on.
He's a business owner now, so we don't see him too much.
Yeah, yep, exactly. He's making that cheddar, and he's doing really good. So can't blame a guy for wanting to do that when our job pays very little over here. He says, Trans-Siberian doing the sign of the cross. Okay, we got a half PPR. Please give me a flex and a defense. We got Etienne, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, Khalil Shakir, Jay Williams, Jameson, I'm assuming, Green Bay or Houston. Joe, we're going to go ahead and let you lead this one off.
We love him, but he never makes it easy. That's for sure. If Bigsby was playing, I think for me, I would feel really, really good about going Shakir here. I'll use our buddy Jeff's thought process a little bit with JSN, like Metcalf's back. I know he went for 40, a week or before their bye. I don't know if he's good. I'm sure he'll be active against San Francisco, but I don't know how good he will be. And Shakir with no Coleman, no Kincaid against Kansas City, I like the volume for Shakir. It's hard, though, because Etienne's got that job all to himself today, but that's a really good run defense in Detroit. I think I'm going to go Shakir. And then for the defenses, man, that's a tough one, too. They're probably both pretty good plays. I just read it. I just saw a Bleacher Report saying Chicago is simplifying their playbook and their offense today for Caleb Williams, trying to get them back to basics. You got Houston going against Cooper Rush, right? I think on that one, I'm probably going to go. Oh God, I guess I got to go Houston just because there's so much talent on that Chicago offense. I think I'm going to go Houston just because they're playing the backup quarterback. So I'm going to go Shakir and Houston.
I don't mind that. Etienne to me this year has been the biggest disappointment. He had a couple of good games over 10, but outside of that guy has had a tough time finding any kind of volume, any kind of scoring with Tank Bigsby, without Tank Bigsby. I cannot go that way. So typically I'd want to go with the volume play here. I feel like to me, the play here is going to be Jameson Williams. And the reason why is because without gosh dang it, why am I
Laporta?
Laporta, yeah, without Laporta out there, I feel like Jameson Williams is going to be a guy I know in a half PPR. He's only going to have like 3 or 4 catches, so I don't think we're going to have a huge volume with him. But I do feel like he hits pay dirt today. So for me, it's going to be Jameson Williams. But man, it's really, really close between him and Khalil Shakir without anybody else on that offense right now. So I'm actually going to, just to make it easier on us to not put a split out there, I'm actually going to lean Shakir here because it's so close, and I feel like he's going to give you an edge on volume there. And then Green Bay, Houston, I was talking to you earlier this week, I know on the old Twitter, and when we were talking about it, I was more on the Green Bay side of things, but I do think I'm going to lean with Joe here as well. Houston against Cooper Rush, against a really kind of a devastated offense, and, CeeDee Lamb not shutting up about the sun. We're gonna have to go with Houston here as well. So I'm gonna agree with Joe. We're gonna let him. Tie goes to Joe on this one because they're both so close. And good luck today, my man. Hopefully things are staying safe over there.
That being said, on defenses, if to me, and I just can't not. I was lucky enough. The Detroit defense today. This has got to be probably, if you really think about it, this is the best probably single game fantasy defensive matchup of the whole year is Detroit home against Mac Jones, Jacksonville Jaguars today. So in my opinion, whether it's DFS or if you can pick them up in waivers leagues, I got to believe that Detroit defense feasts on that Jacksonville team today.
That's actually a great point right there. Even without Aiden Hutchinson out there and things like that. No, I'm kind of with you, right? I think that I think that's a smash right there. I think Detroit is going to be a defense that just annihilates Jacksonville. Sorry, I'm actually looking in my leagues right now because I'm like, man, that's a fantastic point. So we're going to look really fast.
No, yeah, I don't blame you. Let me give you while you're looking. I'll fill. I got Devonta Adams. I think people fantasy wise got excited when he got traded to the Jets. I mean, he had that 19-point game against Houston, but the other 2 games have been pretty worthless. I mean, assuming he plays today, I know he's banged up. Like, what the hell do you do with Devonta Adams at this point? And like what I'm talking about is I could flex him over Kenneth Walker. I don't think I'm going to do that. It's a super flex league. Would you play Devonta Adams over Tua?
I don't think I would. I don't think I would. I think Tua has himself a pretty decent game today, but at the same time, I feel like Devonta Adams is so Aaron Rodgers is always a guy that starts off and has incredibly bad games, and then he just all of a sudden turns it around, makes a team a playoff run, and just looks dynamic. So I would caution against that because I think Devonta Adams does have himself a pretty big game. Yeah. As a matter of fact, when we look at our DFS lineups here in a little bit, you'll see that Aaron Rodgers is my starting quarterback to have today. So I do like that, but I'm going to still lean with the super flex in that instance.
Would you consider, because of no Dak Prescott, would you consider playing Adams and benching CeeDee Lamb?
I wouldn't. You can't bench CeeDee Lamb. Yeah. That's a guy you just can't bench. He's too good, man. He just.
No, I know.
And the volume will be there, right?
Oh, Mrs. Gilbert.
Hello. She is one handsome lady, and she's got one handsome man sitting right next to her. Man, what a lucky lady she must be. We got McLeod or Pierce in the flex spot here. Joe, we'll go ahead and let you lead this one off.
I was looking at McLeod DFS wise, just trying to get that last cheaper wide receiver in, but man, with that, but you got to go back to the fact that it's Richardson now again for the Colts. You know what? I would go McLeod. I think I'm going to go McLeod. Actually, no, that's at Denver though too. They're both bad matchups too. That is tough. I'm going to go. I'm going to say you should listen to your husband. How often do we really say that? Not very often in life. So I'll take this opportunity to confidently say that for once. This is a tough one. I don't know where to go.
Yeah, I'm going to lean Pierce here just because I feel like we're going to be trying to hit a home run right here. I don't think McLeod is going to be very involved just because I think it's going to be, you're going to have to make some fast decisions, fast reactions. To me, McLeod's a guy that's more of a 3-step back, not a 2-step back or 2-step receiver, sorry. Whereas I feel like the 2-step drops are going to be going more Kyle Pitts and Drake London and Bijan Robinson, right? So I feel like McLeod is just the third look on that offense, whereas Pierce, I feel like, is going to be more of your second look, possibly even your first. The only real competition you have is Josh Downs and Adonai Mitchell over there. But the thing that scares me is Anthony Richardson being out there at quarterback. So
Pittman's back, I think, today too.
Oh, Pittman is coming back today. Okay,
let me double check. Last time I looked, it looked good, but that's one worth. Yeah, Pittman's playing.
Okay, Pittman is playing. Okay, excellent. All right, so that I'm going to lean with you. I'm going to say McLeod here then. If Pittman's back, the volume just isn't there for either one of these guys. It's nasty. So
yeah,
not a fan of either one of those. Got Bossman. He says, "Good morning, boys. Good morning, Bossman." He says, "Pick one for flex, full PPR, A-Chain Hunt."
What is this? A 2-team league?
Right. For a flex, man. This is in our flex. We got. This is a tough one. A-Chain Hunt, Mixon, or Jonathan Taylor.
I mean, literally, the first 3 you could argue are like the 3 best running back matchups of the week in general. Right. I'm starting A-Chain and Hunt, I believe, in my DFS lineup. But so I'll tell you this right now. I would love to know the details. Like, how many teams is this league? Even in 8
running backs on this team.
Right. Even in 18. Yeah. Who are you starting? Right. It's got to be Barkley and Bijan.
Right.
Even an 8-team league, this is insane. But so in all seriousness, though, Jonathan Taylor, I am not starting out of this group. He goes away immediately. It's a bad matchup. And even if it wasn't a bad matchup, I don't think I'm going Taylor with these other guys. This is really tough because Hunt has had such volume, and he's doing it both in the air and obviously rushing. A-Chain's been phenomenal, and they've got a phenomenal matchup. And one weird thing, I didn't realize this until I read it the other day. Mostert didn't get a carry last week for Miami.
Yeah, that is weird.
So, what was a full-on platoon for a year and a half, all of a sudden is not anymore. And A-Chain had 7 catches last week, too. So, and then Mixon is just all year long. Mixon's been going for 20, 125 and a touchdown. So, I guess I think I'm going to eliminate Mixon because out of the 3, and it's a full PPR, he catches the ball the least out of those 3 guys. So, I think I'm with A-Chain or Hunt. And I guess I don't know. I would like to go A-Chain because of the matchup, but I think Hunt is safer to get in the end zone. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm actually with your analysis there. Taylor was immediately out. Mixon doesn't catch the ball as much as Hunt and A-Chain. And Hunt's that offensive script could flip so fast, where they don't really need to do a lot. You see them kind of doing their kick down offense. So it's A-Chain, and it's only by process of elimination. But my God, you could start any one of these guys outside of Taylor, and even Taylor could have himself a game. Taylor's a very talented back, but Richardson on that offense scares me. So it's A-Chain, but you can't lose right there. And again, man, let us know who your running backs are on that team. Is it McCaffrey and Saquon? If you're drafted by yourself, that's not fair, man. It's just not fair. We got another one. He says, other team pick one. Flex, full PPR, Chase Brown, Aaron Jones, or Nick Chubb. Now, this one's a little bit more realistic. What do you say here, Joe?
Yeah, this is a good one. So I think I'm going to get rid of Chubb right off the bat partly because of the whole, he doesn't catch the ball as much as Brown, Jones. But then, too, Chubb hasn't gotten in the end zone. Brown and Jones, I like where they are more right now. All of a sudden, the Chargers, I feel like the only reason that anybody gave the Chargers the time of day at the beginning of the season is because of their coach. It was because Harbaugh came on. The team was just, they lost all their weapons. It was basically just the quarterback, and Dobbins has come on, but all of a sudden they've got a really good defense. Harbaugh's doing what he does, and they're kind of like a legit team with a really good rush defense. So that makes me a little more hesitant on Chase Brown this week. But Brown's been getting in the end zone more than Aaron Jones. I think I'm going to go Aaron Jones because of the matchups, but it's close.
Yeah, same here. The exact same thought process again right there. I think Aaron Jones is going to be your volume play. I think he's going to be the guy that gives you your best percentage chance of getting in the end zone. Chase Brown does have a really tough matchup. The Chargers do have an astounding front four, and they don't have to rush a whole awful lot or blitz a whole awful lot to shut your offense down. So I feel like they've really kind of been looking pretty decent on offense. Herbert's been getting the job done and unloading on just all kinds of different receivers over there. So I feel like this is a game they could find themselves in a negative game script real fast. I do think Chubb has himself a pretty good game today. Now, it used to be one of those things that you could set your clock to, right? Nick Chubb, 100 yards and a touchdown. But we just haven't seen that yet. I do feel like this is going to be more of a get-right game for him, too. Aaron Jones has just been getting that job done in Minnesota. He's been looking really good, looking like he's a huge part of that offense. And I think Sam Darnold is going to be a little bit more outlet pass-oriented today. Hawkinson is another guy I'm really high on. As always, Justin Jefferson's going to get his, but I feel like we're going to see a lot more volume on the outside to try to get this team to win more football games. So I think Aaron Jones is going to be a really big part of that right there. We got Kevin Turner says, appreciate you as usual. We love you too, man. Kevin Turner, it's always a great, we appreciate you coming in here, man, every week. We got one more in my 10-team half PPR league. Start 2 wide receivers, Garrett Wilson, DeAndre Hopkins, Jaden Reed, Jalen Waddle, Jacoby Myers, or Ricky Pearsall. This is another tough one, man. A 10-team league for sure, but these guys a little bit more realistic. Who are you starting out of this lineup? I already know who I've got right away.
I'll tell you what, this is another one, like for me, you're getting in that season where you're riding some waves of momentum, and especially from a DFS perspective. And like when you look at guys at like Hopkins and Myers and Purcell, as far as what their prices are and where they are with their teams right now, those are all great DFS plays in my opinion this week. That being said, start 2 WRs. So this is tough. This is really hard because I don't want to not play DeAndre Hopkins. Man, I could make a case for freaking all of these guys. I'm going to eliminate Waddle right off the bat. He's my first elimination, and I'm going to eliminate Purcell after that because as much as I like him, what he's going up against is too much, being the number 3 in San Francisco versus these guys are all ones. So now you're looking at Wilson, Hopkins, Reed, and Myers. Man, it's hard to bench Reed, even though I never gravitate to Reed. I've never owned him in a league. I don't play him often in DFS because he seemed to have gotten a little pricey fast. But when you look at his numbers, it's hard to bench him. At the same time, all right, so, man, I think you got to play Garrett Wilson. Right? And if you're saying that Aaron Rodgers has a nice day today, keeps their season alive, obviously that's got to go with Adams and Wilson. So I think you got to play Garrett Wilson. I want to play Jacoby Myers here, but I'm not gonna. It's Hopkins and Reed, and I know the right play is Reed. That being said, I don't love Reed because he doesn't score a lot, and I'm really liking what Hopkins is doing there. So I personally, if this was me, I would go Hopkins, but I think the right answer is Reed. And now I'm done. That was horrible. But Kevin Turner, son of a bitch.
No, you broke it down perfect, man, right there. I feel like DeAndre Hopkins was the guy who jumped right off the sheet at me. I can't sit him right now, not on this offense, not the way he's playing football right now. I mean, the guy looked so good last week, and that's the thing that Patrick Mahomes loves to replicate. Get me him, and I think Jayden Reed is the other guy. It's crazy because if you ask this question in week 3, right, week 2, week 1, we're going to be sitting there talking about how, well, Wilson just hasn't looked that great. Well, Waddle hasn't looked that great. Well, Myers still had Adams, not really to compete with. But I mean, it's just all of these guys in week 3 seemed like such a different page. But now that we've seen a lot of the season and we're seeing how it's going down, it's amazing how many of these guys have stepped down to like a number 2 role on their respective offenses, Waddle was you're always going to be a number 2 to Tyreek Hill, but he just hasn't really supplanted as that 2. I mean, it's kind of been anybody else besides him and everybody else on that team. And so Garrett Wilson kind of in that same boat where Devontae Adams is, but Garrett Wilson, if Devontae Adams is out, then I'm going to put him in there before Jayden Reed. If Devontae Adams does play, I'm playing Reed and Hopkins. So that's where I'm going to land on that one.
That's quite the riddle, that one.
Yeah, exactly. Andy Moda helping us out here. He says half PPR Ramondre or Chubb. Thank you.
Nice try, easy one. Real quick though, I got to shout out, obviously Randy, Ukraine, but boss man Kevin Turner. I feel like all year long, man, they've been bringing some really phenomenal scenarios, which then just leads to great conversation and just analysis for. So I appreciate those guys this year. They've definitely been keeping us on our toes. Keep it coming.
It would be me and Joe starting to talk about Pearl Jam if you guys didn't put questions down in the thing. I mean, it'd inevitably go to that every
Listen,
time, so.
There are fantasy set list leagues out there, but that'll be for another podcast. So, Andy, Ramondre or Chubb, and, I agree with Mike. I do think Chubb has, his first real legit week this week. That being said, and as much as the Patriots suck, and I know, and they don't score a lot, it's actually kind of hard to ignore what Stevenson does on a given week. And looking real quick, because I was looking at this earlier, first of all, the touches, he's at least 15 touches a week, but last week, 20 carries, 74 yards. The week before that, 10 carries, another 5 catches and a touchdown. The week before that, 2 rushing touchdowns. This is hard. Ford's back for Cleveland also this week. I don't know if he played last week or not, or before their bye, but man, this is a tough one because I don't know. I think I go Ramondre by a little bit, but I'm gonna be annoyed at myself if Chubb goes off. So it's tough. You're going Chubb.
I'm not actually. No, I'm
You're not.
leaning with you here on Ramondre. And you know, the only reason being is I just haven't seen that out of Chubb this year. If he was giving me that same consistent look that I was seeing year after year with this guy, I would say this is a no-brainer right here. But Ramondre is really kind of the only bright spot on that offense, and the one guy that you can almost count on to get you points out of there. And I like his touchdown potential as opposed to Chubb as well. So, I mean, because that team, Jameis Winston's going to be dialed in. He's going to be hucking the ball. He's looking a lot better this year than he did ever with Tampa Bay. So, I mean, give me Ramondre Stevenson here, and it's not really even that close just because that Chubb hasn't been back yet. But although I do hope Chubb comes in and does and as a matter of fact, I have him in my starting lineup for daily today in the hopes that he does step it back up. But we're just still, I mean, the word hope and maybe when we've got a good, consistent look at what Ramondre Stevenson has been doing on that offense week in, week out when he's healthy. So
that game's impossible to call. Like, the Rams just laid a total egg home against Miami when you think all of a sudden they're poised to make like a playoff run. The Patriots just went and beat Chicago, 19-3 or whatever. They're playing with a rookie quarterback that looks phenomenal. One series, the next series, he looks like a rookie. Like, that game, if the Rams won 31-10, it wouldn't surprise me. And if the Patriots win that game 20-17, it wouldn't shock me either.
Yeah, both of those teams can just pop hot and cold. I mean, New England's looked cold all season long. They just really haven't looked like they've got anything dynamic brewing up. But they're kind of like that rope-a-dope team, too, that's just really hard to get off the ropes against. Not a whole lot of people. It's kind of like a fantasy vacuum, you know,
yes.
But
they got to go from West Coast to East Coast, you know, that whole.
Yep, all that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, that's going to be one match I try to avoid outside of about four players, but Ramondre Stevenson is definitely one of those players on that list. So hopefully we helped you out there, Andy Mota. We'll go ahead and shift our gears here, going into a little bit of a DFS, unless anybody you like it. And anytime you guys have a start-sit question, just go ahead. We'll interrupt it. We're just going to be showing you guys what we're dealing with and how we're going to be rolling out this week. And so for me, for starters, this is what we're going to be rocking. We got Aaron Rodgers, like I said. Aaron Rodgers sitting at 7,100. He was a cheaper quarterback right there. I think at home against Indianapolis is going to be a game that Jets get right. I think they're going to look a lot better. And again, this is me hoping that Aaron Rodgers, and it's kind of funny, this is more like a 2 years ago fantasy lineup that would be great. You know?
I was just thinking, this is like a throwback lineup, almost the whole thing, other than like Kraft and Pickens.
Right. Yep. Everybody else is kind of older in Westbrook in kind. But yeah, so we got Chubb at 6,200 again. I think at New Orleans with that Lattimore, I think they're going to be able to get up on that game. I think that's going to be a high scoring game. I think he's going to be a guy that finds the end zone. Aaron Jones again, 7,600 at Tennessee. Tennessee has been looking a little bit better defensively week after week, but I think Minnesota goes over a hump this week and gets back into their winning ways. And I think a lot of that's going to be on the shoulders of Aaron Jones. We got Gabriel Davis, Jacksonville at Detroit. I think there's going to be very few bright spots that happen on that offense. I think Gabriel Davis is going to get you a touchdown, maybe 3 for 5. It's going to be not pretty, but I think he's going to give you a little bit of a stat line there for 6,700. Although we may be modifying that here in just a second because he's kind of a guy that just I don't really want a whole awful lot to do with Mac Jones throwing the football, but this is what we threw together. We got Nick Westbrook, whatever the hell you pronounce his name, at 6,400 at home against Tennessee. This guy's been finding the end zone week after week. He's kind of been quiet this whole season, but he'll be a guy that gets you 7 to 10 points, I think, today. I think he finds the end zone, nothing spectacular again, but I mean, for 6,400, we're taking what we can get for these guys that I feel like are going to give you more of a lineup, like George Pickens at home against Baltimore. Pickens has just been a volume guy. I mean, he's just been getting the job done week in, week out. He's been looking at, there we go, 7, 5, 9, 8, 7, 11 targets. I mean, this guy's been dominant. 5 catches for 91 and a touchdown last week. 2 weeks ago, he was 5 for 9, 111 and a touchdown. Russell Wilson's obviously favoring him. Do be cautious. Mike Williams is out there. Mike Williams might have a better game this week than he did last week with that one catch. Kraft, I think, is another guy that we kind of ignore on that offense. I think this is another team that's going to try to put it back together. 6 targets last week. He didn't do a whole lot with them, but The week before that, 3 for 378, a touchdown. This guy does have an ability to find pay dirt. As you can see, out of the past 6 weeks, he's scored 5 touchdowns. So we have a couple of games with zeros. Let's roll out that he's probably going to have a high potential. And then C-Mac, we played him last week. He let us down. And even him letting me down, it's still an awesome stat line. 6 for 7 for 68, 13 for 39 on his first week back, being out all season already. I think he has himself a game today. I think he's back. I think him being back is going to be a big deal. I think, I don't know. I'm just all in on C-Mac, and I think this is going to be the game where you're like, oh, yeah, that's why I drafted him first overall. So what do you think there, Joe?
Yeah, I agree. I think he certainly finds the end zone this week. I like this lineup a good chunk. I think, Aaron Rodgers, it's put up or shut up this week, so I got to believe that they play with some desperation from a play calling perspective, which, means Aaron's going to throw it out or air it out. I would probably look to clean up, as you're doing now, the tandem, that combo of Davis and Westbrook. Not sure what else we could put there, but other than that, I love the rest of it. And you make a great point about Kraft. And I was trying to look it up real quick. I got to believe Kraft's he might even be a top 5 fantasy tight end this year, if not top 10. And I'm going to see if I'm right about that. But he's been really good for Green Bay, and that's pretty interesting considering all the different options they have there at wideout and everything like that. So I definitely like Kraft, and I agree with you that he's kind of been forgotten. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, he's like 6th overall in tight ends this year. So that's a good play for sure. Right.
Yeah. Nope. I'm digging it. Yeah. And this is kind of weird. I'm just like, what the heck is going on here? 6,000 must be some sort of a cutoff here or something. I'm like,
that's crazy.
Tyler Lockett, Mark Andrews, DJ Moore, and then all of a sudden you're into Nathan Peterman, Tyrod Taylor, a bunch of backup quarterbacks. And then
you're in all though. You're not in wideout.
Yeah, we'll go to just wideout here.
Let's see what happens now. There you go. That's weird though.
That was. I think moving over to Quentin Johnston would be a move right there. And then let's see what we got left here. We'll go ahead and move out in kind, whatever. If I can't pronounce his name, you're not playing on my team.
Pierce, you're looking at what? Pierce or Schuster's back. So real quick, Schuster's back, and we're talking about Hopkins, Kelsey, we're talking about all the touches for Hunt. Schuster had a great game when his debut this year with them. Then he got hurt. That's not a bad play.
Not too bad. I think I'm going to go ahead and lean here on Rashad Bateman.
Yep.
Just because I feel like that's going to be a game where they're going to find themselves needing to score a little bit more often than the other matchups right there. Demario Douglas is tempting, but again, I have zero faith on that offense right there. So we're just going to go ahead and lock that one in there, buddy. So we're going to lock in. We've got Quentin Johnston, Rashad Bateman making moves over Westbrook Inkney. And what was the other one we traded out?
Davis.
Yeah, there you
go.
Davis. Gabriel Davis. Yep, because that guy's just a nightmare.
I like that much better.
Good. So let's go ahead and break yours down. Let's go with it.
All right. We are on DraftKings. And why isn't it sharing?
All right, he's doing that all dance.
Technical glitch. Oh, I can't even see my face. I have no snare in my headphone.
Turn the beat up.
So yeah, I'm like frozen here, which is funny. So all right, so I can do it without. I just can't share for some reason right now. All right, let's try this one more time. Hold on 1 second. Share screen.
I'll do the John Jones victory.
All right.
Are we doing that?
Oh man, dude, what a freaking! I don't think I've ever seen a kick to the. Well, he said liver. I was thinking broken ribs, but holy shit.
Dude, that guy got dropped like a bad habit. That was such a good roundhouse, too, and so well timed. Dude, fighting John Jones is just unfair as it is. I wish John Jones would fight Jake Paul next just because.
Oh, my God.
I'm a little red about that still.
Imagine if Jones, too, because he's had the craziest career with all the missed time.
Yeah.
All the suspensions and everything. It would be if and he's still the best ever, even with all of that. But
yeah, no, hands down. The pound for pound best fighter that's ever fought any kind of sport.
Yeah.
I proved it again last night, dude. That kick. Woo.
That
You
was
felt
insane.
that. You
That
felt
was
that one at home.
I don't know how he got up in general. Like, I was like, he's got broken. I'm like, how could he even, the fact that he could even talk for his post-fight interview.
Yeah, no, I thought he was going to need rushed to the hospital. I thought for sure at least 3 broken ribs the way, because I mean, it's not like he's a slouch and he got dropped. I mean, he just hit the ground and he even put his hand up like, I'm done. That didn't stop John Jones. It can't, that's not fighting.
Yep, that was awesome. But all right, DraftKings. We're starting with Brock Purdy, 6,600. I really gravitate now when I can to running to wideouts or to quarterbacks that run the ball, and can score some rushing touchdowns. That being said, Purdy does not do that, although he does it a little more than you would think. And he's over 24 straight games, only 6,600. So I like the play there. Home against Seattle. They got McCaffrey back too. I look for him to hit 20 again. I mean, we talked about these guys. It always feels good when we overlap here. A-Chain, home against Vegas. It's a great matchup. I'm loving these stat lines. I mean, I don't love 12 for 37 last week, but I'm loving the targets and the receptions. I look for him to get in the end zone this week. So I'm liking A-Chain at 7,200. Right behind him, Kareem Hunt, 6,700. Great. It's the Chiefs and the Bills today. That's probably like you can almost pencil it in to be a top 5 regular season game of the whole season. It's going to be good. I love the volume Hunt's getting. He's over 20 touches in every single one of his games with the Chiefs this year. And I don't look for that to really change at all. We look at wideouts. You talked about him, George Pickens. Russell Wilson, it shocks me because I didn't expect it, but he's making this offense click. The Baltimore pass defense can be susceptible. And the one big difference between Wilson and Justin Fields is he's getting the ball to Pickens. So I like him today, at least for maybe some trash yardage if they already, in case Baltimore beats them up pretty good. I do like Pickens at the end of that game for sure. We talked about Ricky Purcell, this San Francisco passing game. It's an interesting decision on DraftKings anyways, because Jennings is only 5,300. So it's only a $400 difference between him and Purcell. I'm going to go Purcell this week. Jennings had the big game last week. I'm not ready to think he's going to do that every single week. And I really like what Purcell did last week. And I like having the Purdy-Purcell combo. And, Valdez-Scantling, another one that could have been in the lineup from 3 years ago. This guy is always a roll of the dice. But at this point, he's the number 1 wideout for New Orleans. Home against Cleveland, 2 teams that I'm not sure what they're playing for at this point. It could be a track meet like what he did last week, 4,400, going to take the shot. No Noah Fant. And DFS-wise, you wouldn't do this in a league probably because there's better guys on waivers. But when you can get a starting tight end, 3,100. He had 7 targets, 4 catches last week. So we're going A.J. Barner at San Fran. They're going to have to throw the ball to score, I think. And then it gives us the opportunity to flex Travis Kelce. The real brain screw I had here is I had DeAndre Hopkins in my lineup before I got to tight end and flex. And DeAndre Hopkins is 5,700, I believe. So Kelce's a few $100 more. And I really, really had to pause for a minute and say, what do I want? Do I want Hopkins or do I want Kelce? And as much as I love Hopkins, I mean, Kelce, all of a sudden, we were all shitting on him the first few weeks of the year. And now all of a sudden he's got 3 straight games where he's double-digit targets and over 20 points on DraftKings. So in the end, I want Kelce. But I think Kelce or Hopkins would be a good play. And, back to what we talked about earlier, I can't resist. Even though they're the most expensive defense of the main slate, I just can't resist this Detroit defense home against Mac Jones this week. That could get
as it should be. They should be the most expensive defense because they should feast today. That said, it's always funny how that works because you see that and then it just turns into these stagnant games that don't do anything. The one guy I don't really like, Barner, but you can't argue with the price tag, and I don't think that they're going to find anybody with a whole lot more volume sitting there than that guy in the spot that you've got him. So, I mean, I understand the need for that. MVS is a guy that just breaks my heart every single time I put that guy in a lineup. That is another guy that I would be saying, use caution with. But again, I mean, to get the price, to get A-Chain, to get Hunt, to get Pickens in there, I feel like, and to get Kelsey in there, I feel like that's going to be worth it. This should be a solid lineup, should cash you some money. And I mean, that's one thing we've been doing week after week is cashing.
We have. I've had more luck on the main slate this year than usual. So here's another mind screw with Kansas City, because like I love Hopkins, I love Kelsey, I love Hunt, and then really here too, like I'm paying the 44 for Valdez-Scantling. I would save the $100 somewhere and go Smith-Schuster too, but you know, how much stock can you go? And it's not like they're not putting up 35 points a game, but man, when you're talking with these DFS lineups, like it's hard to resist any of those Chief guys right now.
Yeah, no, and especially with that matchup where you know it should just be this huge explosive game, you know, looking at like maybe a 60, 70 point over hitting the end of that, because both of these teams are good. Both of these teams need to win because this has such severe playoff implications down the road. Like Buffalo's going to have to put a loss in their column, and then hopefully Denver can put another loss in their column when they play them back at home. And Buffalo can win out, or else the road to the championship is going to be going through Kansas City again. So, I mean, instead of letting that game be home at Arrowhead, this is a huge game for Buffalo to get out there. They have to win this game again, or else there's almost no chance of anybody being able to catch up because they'll be 11 or 10-0 after that. So yeah, I think that's going to be a high-scoring affair. Watch that thing be like 13-10, though, and that's exactly why you can't play Juju Smith-Schuster right there, right? Like, because that'll kill. You can still have big games with these guys, but without the points being scored or anything like that, then you're up an island without that, without it. So we got a guy, Dominic Bowe. What's happening, Dominic? He says full PPR, DJ Moore versus the Packers or Judy versus the Saints.
Man, the fact that you got to think about this one is just interesting in itself.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I mean, I think I got to go DJ Moore here. But I get it. I do get it. I really do. And, you know, to my point from when we first signed on, like it's week 11. If you're 5-5, 4-6, whatever, like every one of these decisions count now. So, but I just don't think I can sit DJ Moore for Judy.
It's close for me too, and it shouldn't be, right? Again, you asked me this question in week 3. I'm going to chuckle at you. I'm going to be like, what are you thinking here? But here we are, week 11. This is actually a very relevant question. Judy's been getting more and more involved week after week, but he just isn't getting the job done, right? Like, it seems like what he's using or what he's getting with the yardage and things like that, it seems like a lot of that is more going Njoku, more going Elijah Moore way. And Cedric Tillman, to me, Cedric Tillman's the guy to own in Cleveland right now. I think Cedric Tillman's getting all the touches and all the touchdowns. He's obviously a lot more comfortable with him at the helm. So I feel like it's DJ Moore. I'm not liking it, though. I don't think that they're going to score a whole lot of points against Green Bay. That's why Green Bay's a huge offense for me this week, or a huge defense, against that team. Because this
is a crazy stat line. DJ Moore put up 30 DraftKings points in week 5. Since then, he's gone for 6, 5, 7, and 5. And DraftKings is a full point PPR.
Yeah, that's great.
Wow. Yeah, that's bizarre.
Yeah, no, DJ Moore's like, he's just a guy, like you said, like I said, you could usually set it and forget it with him, but it hasn't been the case with Caleb Williams. But I mean, if they are simplifying the playbook, that does make me think that you're probably going to see a lot more crosses and fades with DJ Moore. Probably get a little bit more volume. Hopefully, they start getting Keenan Allen a little bit more involved. That team should be good, you know. And that Caleb Williams, just a young quarterback, he'll get it figured out. He looks like he's on track to get it figured out, and he has these flashes where he comes out and has these big games. And this could just easily be one of those, because now I know, like, at least with me, when I'm under a microscope, I tend to get stuff done a little bit harder. He knows he's sitting on this microscope right now with this team. He knows that they're probably questioning whether or not they're going to be drafting a quarterback in this coming draft. You know, I mean, his career could just be that close to ending before it even began. So we may see a tick up with Caleb Williams. We may see him start getting a little bit more ingrained in that offense, but I think DJ Moore is a safer play there. I think I just think that Cleveland offense, Tillman's just too involved. And I feel like Chubb is going to have himself a big game too. So
DeAndre Swift's been hard to figure out. Well, he's always hard to figure out fantasy wise, but
He really is. You know, he really is. He shouldn't be because he's so good. And then he just stops being good. It's weird to me.
Did Mike say set and forget Etienne?
Yep, set and forget Etienne. Says enjoy your Sunday. Good luck with your DFS gambling. Did Mike say set and forget Etienne? I wish you could. Last year you could. This year you certainly can't. You can't even set. Like, let alone set and forget. You got to walk away from that guy this year. Okay, I think that catches up all our questions. Joe, do you have anything else to add right there, my man?
No, this is a big one this week. I did not have that Washington-Philly game, to your point of like, thinking about a game that should be higher scoring and does not end up as high scoring. It was not a great fantasy start league-wise for me on Thursday night, and I need some wins this week. So I got 59 minutes to press the right buttons in all these leagues.
Yeah, in the leagues I wasn't where I didn't have Saquon Barkley, which is all but 2, I was facing Saquon Barkley. It was insane, man. I'm looking at all these game lines going, man, why do I even set a lineup this week? Because Saquon had such a huge game. But, what can you do? I've had a lot of times where I've been that guy with Saquon coming into the weekend going, oh, I've got this guy. I don't even have to worry about it. And then you look the next thing, and somebody has a bigger game than Saquon. And A.J. Brown does blow, dude. Oh, my God. Like, where's this guy at from last year? Trans-Siberian, man. Where is A.J. Brown? That was one that killed me yesterday because in the leagues I'm facing Saquon. Luckily, I had A.J. Brown. Like, no, not luckily. Now I got 10 to 50.
I think every single data science betting account on Twitter had A.J. Brown going over his prop yardage and McLaren too, and those guys didn't even sniff it.
Yeah, I mean, barely even got targets. It's ridiculous, and you're wondering why these teams are not doing as well as they typically are. Although Philly, man, they're looking good. They're looking like they're put together right now. So
imagine if they like the coach.
Yeah, right. Well, on that note, guys, we will catch you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Thank you again for joining us. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, hitting that bell for all things triple play fantasy. And again, good luck. Week 11, guys. We're here for you. Week 12, we're going to keep this. We're going to